Hello, welcome to the clustering part, which is a component in this unit 6. So in this topic, we will be talking about the clustering, the overview of clustering, then what was K-means algorithm, followed by some of the applications where clustering will happen, and overview of the clustering algorithm, then implementation of clustering algorithm in R language, and thereby the WSS method to determine the number of clusters, and some do's and don'ts that take part towards clustering. So as a whole, when we talk about the overview of clustering, we will take up this clustering, we call it as an unsupervised. So when we call it as unsupervised, we don't know in advance the number of classes or labels in the data, but still we have to do grouping. So even though we don't know the number of groups, number of divisions in the given data set, but we need to divide the things into groups. So how we can do that, how we can group the similar objects? So that was the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge was we need to see that we need to find the patterns, we need to find the hidden structure, we need to find the pattern within this unlabeled data. And of course, so it is up to the data scientists to determine how many number of clusters to be taken up, because we don't know, we can't determine how many partitions are going to be there exactly, we don't know. But still, using the WSS method, the data scientist will see that, will fix up the labels, that is number of clusters it can form, number of labels it can form. So the main intention was that when we talk about clustering, we group items based on similarity, and while making this similarity we will use a distance matrix, probably the Euclidean distance. And second, when doing this grouping, we need to look with the intersegment uh, clusters and intra segment cluster distance, or I can call it as similarity, distance or similarity. So when I'm going to see that objects within the cluster, objects within the cluster must be similar. And here, objects between clusters must be different. So one, we call it as, the way we call it as intra, and between clusters we call it as inter. So this is the overview structure regarding how to describe the elements or how to determine the number of groupings or the best groupings within the cluster. So one of an example which will solve us towards this item will be the K-means algorithm. So it will means, of course, the word itself, it is going to find the center point amongst the data items. So here we are going to have some objects with n attributes, and we need to find out uh, how many clusters are there, and etc. So we need to identify the proximity distances which are happening within the cluster, so that it is going to be taken up. So when such is the case, it is going to have we are going to write this large as a cluster center, and the colors we are going to call it as objects. So again, this is large, we call it as cluster center, and the dots we are going to call it as an objects. So they are color coded, which means that all the blue items they belongs to one cluster, and all the red items, yeah, they are going to belong to the second cluster, and all the green items, yeah, they are going to belong to the cluster 3. Obviously we say k is equals to 3. So that is how we are going to make a grouping with the k means. So there are some segments where the clusters are going to be identified. So the basic thing was we need to identify the labels to each clusters based on the characters. Characters are nothing but the attributes. Characteristics are nothing but the attributes of the data object what we are going to take up. So when we are going to say it is an attributes of a data object, we take up these as a exploratory techniques, and the objective was to discover the hidden structures of the data. The item was to discover the hidden structures of the data, and based on that it will be helpful to make a decision process. There are some segments where the use cases they can be applied to image processing, to a medical domain, or some customer segmentation, some of the classical examples. So as far as the video processing is going to be concerned, these video processing, they are going to be enormous content with the unstructuring data, and they have to be identified with some k value, because we need to identify which videos are similar, which contents are going to be similar, which frame is going to be similar. So how I can find the similarities? How I can find the similarities is, I can find the similarities with the attributes. What will be the attributes? Brightness, color, location of x coordinates and the y coordinates. So all that it is going to be part of the image processing. The next thing was we need to have this medical parameters. So here we are going to have the patient attributes. We do have this patient attributes. We have some age, we have height, and we have weight, and then we have the psychostic and dialytic blood pressures and cholesterol levels and etc. So these are some of the attributes what we are going to mention, and based upon that we will be in a position to target regarding the information of the clinical trials, etc. So similarly, clustering, it can be useful in biology to classify the plants and animals in the field of human genetics, etc. So the attributes will see that the items are provoked based on the similarity, etc. The other segment where this clustering is going to take up will be the customer segment. So in this cluster segment, customer segment, there are marketing and sales which are going to happen with the k-means. So they will better identify the customer habit, buying habit, the behavior, and the similarities, and how much he is going to spend, etc. So everything is going to be understood, and based upon that, such type of customers are targeted, and they are formed as a group, and for them some type of offers, emoluments are going to be built up. Similarly, there is a wireless company which is going to identify who are the customers who will churn, who will not churn, who will stay with the operator, who will turn to another mobile operator. So who has churned is a group, who has not churned is a group. In this way they will classify, or they will cluster the contents, and they do it with some attributes which are going to be involved in it. Okay, so now I need to do some clustering method. So how can I do this clustering method? Was, first of all, I have a data set. I have a data set, and from this data set I need to find find k clusters. So k clusters, we have data set with the m objects. From the m objects I need to find k clusters. So it can be explained with a two-dimensional attribute, etc. So I'm going to draw it on a graph with y-axis and x-axis and see that how these two attributes are intermingled with another. So we have m, it is going to be the points, or we are going to call it as an objects, and the capital M, so this is small m, okay, lowercase, and capital M we call it as an uppercase here. So we call this as a centroid. So how we are going to calculate the centroid means we do have a distance matrix called as a Euclidean distance, and we find the Euclidean distance and find the similarity of the items. Now here we are going to start up the k-means algorithm. So in this k-means algorithm, we are going to find the number of clusters. So first of all, we will randomly initialize. We will randomly initialize 3 clusters as centroids. So this is cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3. We are randomly doing it. So or we can initially guess something. So it can be anywhere in the location, as it is going to be random, need not be at the centroid. It can be at any positions. One object we are going to take, and those items we are going to call them as a initial centroid. So you can see red, green, and blue. We are going to dot at the syntax. Next thing is, from each centroid, I will calculate the distance. From each centroid, I will calculate the distance. So I'm taking up the centroid, and how far is the distance I'm going to measure it. So how far is the distance between these objects? So we will measure the distances. How we are going to measure the distance? We are going to measure the distance using the Euclidean distance. So Euclidean distance, we are going to get a formula between the two coordinates, that is x1 minus x2 whole square plus y1 minus y2 whole square. So in this way we are going to do up the things and we get the distance. So distance is going to be given as d, and the coordinate points, the first point and the second point, the first point and the third point. We are doing this with a plane, with the x-axis, and we are doing this with a y-axis plane. So we will see that whichever object is going to be nearer or far, we are going to give this, the whichever the points is nearer to the closest are shaded. So you can see the shaded elements which are going to be given. So these items, they are going to be the nearest elements to the centroid. So first part is completed. Second part we have done with the distance computation. Now third part is, can we move the distance to a new location? Why? Because for one set of points, the centroid is to one end, another set of the points, the centroid is to the another end. Now we need to have a center value which will be almost equal, almost nearer, or it is going to be between to the values which are going to be associated. So if I'm going to have the points like this, so if I'm going to put the distance, it will be 1, and if I'm going to put this at 2, and it will be the distance of 3. But if I'm going to put these items at the center point, now I can say it is 1, 1, 1, 1. So I'm going to have a equal distance. Okay, so I need to find the equal distance. So that is the reason why we are going to move the centroid and between points. So compute the centroid, and it should be between the points which is to be newly defined. So we are going to iterate the step 3 between all the dimensions until we get a better centroid to the mean value. So here we got this x of c and x of y of c is going to be the mean, or we are going to get the centroid. So it will be the sigma value between all the x coordinates, the sigma value between all the coordinates, and the total number of entries. And we are going to compute it how many number of k's. If I'm going to k is equals to 3, I need to repeat for 3 times. If k is equals to 2, I need to repeat it for 2 times. In this way, we are going to compute the step 2. So repeat until step 2 and step 3 until the algorithm is going to converge. So what is convergence here? Until we get the better value we are going to do. So first of all, we have taken the entire division, entire partition of the clusters. Second thing, we are going to compute the shortest distance. We are going to compute the minimal distance between first point and second point, to which point this centroid is far, which point this centroid is nearer. We are going to compute the distance. To compute the distance, we are going to use up the Euclidean distance and computing the distance, and thereby we need to shift the centroid to a position where it is minimal, where it is going to be the center point to all the objects what we are going to say. And one more important for takeaway was, it need not be an object, it need not be an object in the existing data set. Got it? So centroid need not be an object in the existing data set. So it can be some value which is not in the data set. So, but when I'm going to work with a k-medoid algorithm, if the value what it is going to be not existing, to which element it is nearer, to that we are going to move that value, and that existing value we are going to treat it with a medoid value. But as far as mean value is going to be concerned, the mean value what we generated, that need not be a point which is going to be a part of a data set. So that is the key takeaway what we have to understand at this point of time. So now we have reached to the convergence here, and until there is no more change, there is no more body. So I can say this is the final centroid 1 and final centroid 2, final centroid 3. This is initial. Okay, so initial. So these are the initial centroid 1, initial centroid 2, initial centroid 3. Now it has been converged, and thereafter it can be not moved. So these 3 items we are now focusing as 3 different groups, and now they are going to become the 3 optimal values. So we repeat it until we get a better value. That is where the algorithm is going to end. So to have this we have spread, we are going to have the number of points, and centroids we are going to locate it with the value q1, q2, q3, and the distances between them item we are going to call it as a d item. So we will make this with between point p and point q. So that is where we got these items. Now the next thing was, how did you give a random value? Why did you give a random value? And is there any mechanisms to define the value k is equals to 2, k is equals to 3? How can we make it as a randomly initialize? So there are different ways to choose by the data scientist to choose the determining the number of clusters. So one, we are going to call this one with a working set. So in this working set, what we do was, we will examine a reasonable optimal value. So how we are going to get this working set was, it is going to be the sum of squares distance between data point and the closest centroid. So for we compute the sum of squares of the distance between each data point and the closest centroid. So I'm going to have this as centroid item 1, item 2, item 3. Now I find the distance, and distance. So the summation, we will be getting the summation of 1, 2, 3, 4 items. We get this value, which is going to be this sum of squares. So after that, we are going to make the summation of these items. So the most important factor is we should see that the working set model, it is going to be as relatively as small as possible, and it should meet up with the appropriate number of clusters. So how we are determining was, we will be taking up a elbow method. So in this elbow method, we will determine the total number of clusters. Now let us start working with some data, which is with R language to do some analysis. So now we are going to have a data set with 620 students, and they are going to do it on subject 1, English, mathematics, and science, and they are to be graded and with their career to 0 to 100. Now the data item, it is going to have 4 columns. 1, it is going to have an identifier, and 2, it is going to have the subjects, and 3, it is going to have some grade, and these are the some of the columns here. So now we have this number of grades, the identifier, and other value, it is going to be the class, etc. So now the first column, it is going to hold the ID, and it is not needed for the analysis, so we don't look up this item. Now KM is going to be the data set. So in this data set, we are going to have 620, and subjects will be English, will be mathematics, and will be the science. So in order to build up this clusters, to divide it into English, to divide it into mathematics, to divide it into science, I need some clustering way. So for that, first we are going to import the libraries. We are going to import the package of R library. So that is what we are going to say, that is plotter followed by ggplot2, followed by cluster, followed by lattice, followed by graphics, followed by grid, followed by extra. So these are all necessary if I am going to do this clustering. Now first of all, we are going to read this grade input. It is going to be a data frame, and in this data frame we are going to read the data set. That is, it is going to be in .csv file, and we get this values. So we have this grade input, and what are the grade input we are going to consider was, it will be with the student, with the ID, with English, maths, and science, etc. So these are the items what we are going to take up. And see here, ID is ignored. ID is ignored. So what we have science, we have maths, and we have English. Okay, so ID is going to be ignored. So this is column 1, column 2, and column 3. So that is the reason why we meant with the 2 to 4. ID is not considered. ID is not going to be considered, and it is going to be stored in matrix form. It is going to be stored in the matrix form. So we have this data, that is k-means of origin, and the value, it is going to be stored in k-means data. Now first of all, I'm going to display the first 10 rows. So for that, we are going to say km of 1 to 10. So we get all the 10 rows of the data set. So that is what we are going to bring it up. The next thing was how we have to determine the number of clusters. So clusters, it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 15. So how I am going to calculate? I calculate with the working set model. So we do this WSS with a model called as an elbow. We do with this with a model called as elbow, and we by default we are going to give the number of iterations. The number of iterations this algorithm should go, we take up with 25. So that is what we are going to do. Now we will calculate the WSS. So how we are going to calculate was, we assign WSS to a numeric value of 15. So we take the k value. It is going to occur between 1 to 15, and it is going to have number of iterations, that is 25, and k is equals to some centroid value, which we can fix it from 1 to 15, and type, we are going to call it as B type graph, and then x-axis label, we are going to have number of clusters, and y label, we are going to call it as within cluster. So we got this as y-axis, number of clusters, we got this as an x-axis. So now when we are going to calculate the WSS, we need to plot. What we are going to plot, we plot 1 to 15 values. So 1 to 15 values, we are going to plot the values and WSS. So how we are going to get the WSS? We are going to get the sum of k-means. K-means is going to be the algorithm what we are going to take up, and Km is going to be the data set. So the algorithm what we are going to take is k-means, which is given, and for that we are computing the WSS. So now here you can see this form as an elbow, right? We fix this all as elbow. So at what point it is falling down, the optimal value we are going to consider. So if this is the case, now it is steady at this is region, but it is linear, but it is almost linear to the value. So at what point we have a break? So the converged value, the break, or we are going to call it as a converged or an optimal value, so that it is going to be taken up. So we pick up the third value. So we are going to pick up the third value at this point of time. So this is the converged value. Therefore k is equals to 3. So that is what we are going to pass it as with the WSS curve. So now we will start identifying the distances, that is intercluster similarity and the intracluster similarity. Intracluster similarity, and we will compute the intercluster inter. So this is INTER, this is INTRA, that is between, and inter within cluster. So that is what the similarity we make up. So tomatoes, if you put it as a group, so all the tomatoes, they are similar to one another, then we group it. And similarly potatoes, then within the potatoes, all potatoes, we group it. We can't say that no, the two tomatoes are similar. There are some features which identifies the two similarities are different. We can't take a potato and put it to a tomato, or we can't take a tomato and put it into a potato, because that color is different, the taste is different, the attributes values are different, everything is going to be different. But grouping tomatoes, grouping potatoes, so that is one segment, another segment, so they are totally different, so we call it as inter. But within the items, no two tomatoes are same, no two potatoes are same, so they are different by their features. We call them as an intra, we call them as an intra-cluster similarities. So intra-cluster similarities, they should be very high. Inter-cluster similarities, they should be very far. So that was the criteria when we are going to take up with the clustering values. So now let us see k-means, we are going to call the algorithm, km we are going to call the data set, and w3 we are going to get this from the working set model. We are going to get this from the working set model, and the number of iterations what we are going to consider. So n, we are going to say number of iterations. So we are going to get this number of iterations at this point of time. So now what it is going to tell us, I am going to have 620 instances, right? So in this 620 instances, 158, 218 and 244. So just I will move to the data set what it was telling. Data set, it was telling there is a task, we need to divide the 620 into English, into mathematics, into science. We need to have the divisions of 620. So how we are going to pull this element? So that is the major task which it is going to be assumed. So the first cluster, we are going to say first cluster, it is going to 158. Then we have the second cluster, it is going to be 218, and we have third cluster which is going to be 244. So altogether so this is what we are going to get as 620. So 620 that we are assigning. Now we get the cluster means. So first cluster mean of English, second cluster mean of English. So in this way we are going to get the objects. So cluster means are going to be computed, and that is 97, 73 and 85. Similarly for mathematics we are doing 93, 64 and 79. For science we are doing 94, 65 and 81. So these are the mean values of the clusters, so that it is going to be reciprocated to which cluster we are falling. So it is number of the object, the first ID falls in the first cluster, the second ID falls in the second cluster, the 20th ID falls in the third cluster. In this way we are going to say which object falls in which cluster. We are going to represent which ID or which object falls in which cluster is shown. So this is what we are going to put this values. So now what we are telling, that I was telling within cluster sum. So within cluster sum of the squares. So we are going to have this within sum of squares. So what I was telling, this as a working set. So this is within sum of squares, WSS. So another within sum of squares. So within sum of the squares. So now how you are going to compute it with an elbow method. So we get this between and the total. So I was telling about the inter. It is going to calculate the between clusters. Inter, it is going to calculate the between cluster similarities here. So this is between cluster similarities. Now we are going to have this point. We are going to have this point, that is 66 overall. We have the first element. Okay, so cluster of English, cluster of maths, cluster of science, divided by total. So it is what we will be getting, 6692 plus 3426 plus 2284 divided by the total. So we are getting this as 76.5. Accurately we are going to get this value. So this is how we find the within cluster similarities of each cluster. So cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, their number is calculated, and their total sum we are going to display it. It is 64483. So within sum also. So now I need to visualize the cluster graph. How I am going to visualize the cluster graph? I have ggplot2 package. So in this ggplot2 package, I am going to have the region towards English and maths. So how can I move this item? So first of all, I need to give the title. So title I am going to give here. So before that, we need to prepare the students data with referring to the plotting. So this is first between maths and English. So we are writing on x-axis as English and y-axis as maths, and then we need a color of the cluster. It will be with the geometric positions and color of the cluster. Yeah, one way I'm going to call it as we get this as green and blue and red. We do this color of the clusters. We are going to have this, and there we get the data, it is from the centers, and they are going to be factors of 1, 2, and 3. So we get these 3 clusters, right? K is equals to 3. That is the reason why we are going to give the 3 clusters 3 different colors. So one I can call it as red, second one I call it as blue, and third one I am going to call it as green. So in this way we are going to plot between the sizes of 10, that is 100%, and with a constant, a threshold value of 3, and there is no need to display the captions. So that is why titles, the object values. So we are going to say show guide is equals to false, and we have to mention this as a high school student cluster analysis. So here you can see the main title. We are going to give high school student analysis in the cluster 1, that it is going to be displayed in the column 1. So we have done it only for English and Maths. Similarly, we have to do it for English and Science. Similarly, we have to do for Maths and Science. So for all these, the representation is same, the building of the graph is going to be same. So now we are going to put 1, 2, 3, that is G1, G2, G3 into the ggplot table. Into the ggplot table, we are going to put these items here. So that is where we got this ggplot building. And for the entire thing, we are going to give the caption, that is high school cluster students cluster analysis. So there we got now the first item, the second item, the third item. So this entire green one cluster, entire blue another cluster, entire red and another cluster. So this is cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3. The green we call it as cluster centroid of C3, blue we call it as centroid of C2, red we call it as centroid of C1. So in this way we are going to map up the things. Now the distance within the objects we call the similarity. It is very nearer to the centroid. So if this is to be compared, then we are going to call it as intercluster similarities. But if I am going to compare within itself, then we are going to call it as intracluster similarities. So this is how we are going to project out the graph for the clustering. So the large circles, what we are going to mention, we call it as a centroid, or we are going to call them as a mean. The large circle, and the general, we are going to represent the K contents. It is represented in red, green, blue, and it is going to plot out the subject scores. So in English, he got 60, in the value of 70. In this way, we are going to plot out the score values between the subjects. Now, what will be the diagnosis? What will be the best ways to understand the cluster was are the clusters well separated from each object? So this diagram was, it was telling, yeah, green is totally separated, blue is totally separated, red is totally separated. There is no infatuation, or there is no commonality between the two clusters we are going to bring it. So the first one is selected. Second one, do any of the clusters have only a few points? So it is not that few points, it is almost evenly distributed. Why I am going to 10 evenly distributed? The reason was, we will now move to the values. So I am going to have 620 values. 620 values, I can say it is 158, 218, 244. So almost the values, they are evenly selected. Do any centroid appears too close to each other? So now the next question was centroid 1, centroid 2, centroid 3. Yeah, these are totally 3 different centroids, and there is no closeness between the 2 centroids. So again, that is also a positive point. So if all these constraints, they are going to be satisfied, of course we can say they are well separated. You can see red is well separated, green is well separated, blue is well separated, and black is well separated. So in this way we are going to diagnose the elements, and thereby we render appropriate clusters. So clusters are going to be spread between x-axis and y-axis to find the similarity, to find the interaction, etc. Similarly, you can see that even we can make a clustering with a straightforward method, and how the clusters are going to be associated with one another. If this is model, we call it as a linear. So you can say this is spread here. So all these items we are going to take up. So when I'm going to call this, x-axis is going to be attribute 1 and y-axis is going to be attribute 2 for this. Okay, so similarly, if I'm going to do this model for this, x-axis is equals to some attribute 8 and y-axis is equals to some attribute 7. In this model, we have to choose up this split graphs, etc. So this is all regarding the cautions and choosing the appropriate clusters. So whenever a new object has to be identified, to which appropriate attribute we need to do it, that it is going to be taken up. So what we have taken up for this chapter, for this topic, was we started out with the overview of clustering. So in this overview of clustering, we talked about clustering. We don't know the labels in advance, so we need to do grouping based on the similarities. That similarity, it will be taken up with an objects within cluster and objects between clusters. Within the clusters, they should be very similar, and between the clusters, they should be very different. So this is a potato segment, this is a tomato segment. So potatoes are different and tomatoes are different, but the two potatoes, even though we put the 2 or 3 potatoes in a group, but when we look close to that, no two potatoes will be similar to each other. Their attributes are going to be different. So such is where the clustering is going to play a major role. So the one of a partition based clustering will be an example of a k-means, and k-means, yeah, totally it is going to be placed at the mid value. So here is a diagram which shows 3 distinguished clusters with their center points, etc. Now, where are these applications for the clustering? Means it can be applied to some image processing, it can be applied to a medical diagnosis, or it can be applied to a customer segmentation, to churning or not. So how we are going to do this clustering model was, initially randomly we are going to pick up one cluster as a centroid, and thereby we compute the distance between each object and the centroid. So we calculate this until we are going to get a minimal value. So the cluster centroid will move or converge to a point where that still it can't further move, and it is going to be the center point between amongst all the clusters. So how I am going to compute the distance means, I am going to compute the distance based on a similarity matrix called as a Euclidean distance. So Euclidean, the Euclidean distance to each set of center, we are going to compute the item. So centroid need not be an item which is towards an existing data point. It can be anything. So now we are going to compute the center point to the how many means we want. Based upon that, we are going to compute. We iterate this until we get a final convergence, final answer. So the next thing was how appropriate we are going to compute the clusters. So computing the clusters will be taken by within sum of square distance, and within the sum of square distance is to be computed very well. So for that, we are going to use this let us see this within sum of square distance. So what is the formula for within sum of the square distance is, it is to determine the distance between data point and the centroid, how close they are. So this was a formula which was going to be projected between the distance between the centroid and the each data point. So starting with clustering concept, we need to import the graphics library, import the clustering library, import the lattice library, etc. Thereby we need to build a user defined frame to import the dataset, and the dataset we are taking with the grades dataset, which is having 620 data points, and we are importing it from a CSV file, and we have 4 things: ID followed by English, Maths, and Science. So in general cluster analysis, we can't do much with an ID. So we ignore this ID and we select only the second, third, and fourth. So that is why we are going to give it as a second, third, and fourth as an inputs to the frame, that is KM
and the items. So now how can I decide this k with a within sum of squares? So we are going to go with an elbow method, and that elbow method, it is checking to the number of iterations it is going to have, and we fix up, let us say we start with 1, we end up with 15 clusters. So which one is the best we are going to do? So here you can see there is a linear trend which was observed from the cluster 4 to cluster 15, which can't be taken into consideration. But here the sum of the square was too high, and at the cluster point 1 it is middle at the cluster point 2. But when we are looking at the cluster point 3, it is somewhat low, and there itself it is like an elbow where it converges from the high to the linear trend. So that point we are going to choose as the cluster center, and thereby we are initializing the cluster to that content. So we will call the k-means algorithm with km and initialize number of 3, and how many number of iterations we are going to do the clusters, that we are going to take up. So now the clustering algorithms will divide the clusters into 3. So we have total data set as 120. It is divided into 158, 218 and 244 as the total number of clustering contents. The next thing was, it is going to compute the within sum of squares, and the value for each approximation, each cluster approximation is going to be computed. And this should be as minimum as possible. That indicates the cluster convergence has been done very well. Now here is a diagram which it is going to visualize the clusters after executing the k-means algorithm. So now we are going to define the data frame. In this data frame, we are going to take the factors of the columns 2 to 4, and for each and every item we are going to bring up the clusters. Let us select the very first one. We take the x-axis, we take the y-axis, and then we are going to point out the colors as a factor colors with color 1, 2, 3. 1 indicates the red, 2 indicates the green, 3 indicates the blue. So we are going to fix up the things with the within the graph, and we are plotting the three different plots. So the 3 different plots, yeah, you can say it is maths versus English, science versus mathematics, and science versus maths. So we are going to get these cluster centers. So when looking into the analysis part, what we can do is, most of the students, they are graded from 50 to graded 90 in green segment. Most of the students are graded from roughly 75 to 95 in the blue segment, and most of the graded students are graded from 90 to 100 in the cluster region 3. So this is a 3 analysis we do get. And what is the mean point of the students grades? We are going to see one, it is going to be the centroid. The mean point is roughly, the average class marks was roughly towards 73 or 74. Similarly, the average class of the marks for the second subject, second cluster, will be the around 85. So in this model, we are going to visualize the things. So the diagnosis of how the clusters to be there was, are the clusters well separated? When we look at the previous diagram, we can say, yeah, yes, the clusters are well separated. There is no overriding of between the clusters. Second thing, do any of the clusters have only a few points? No, it is not like that. We made it approximately 200 each, almost 200 each to each and every cluster. So it is not fitting up that kind. So these 4 questions need to be satisfied. Then only we can say that the clusters are very well separated and very well appropriate to conduct an analysis. So are the cluster centroids close to each? So definitely not. The reason was we have taken 75, 85 and 95. They are not really very close. They do maintain some distance. So this is how the 4 clusters are going to be separated, and there is no overlapping, etc. So such type of well formed separated clusters will give a good and better appropriate results. So this is all regarding the overview of clustering.